don't, people will think.
Well, yes, you already know your guess is as good as ours. We've got His Excellency Nasir El-Rufai, Governor of Kaduna State, joining us today as we talking about Kadinvest 6.0. Good morning, Your Excellency. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, Chamberlain. Please drop the Excellency. I prefer to be called Malam.
Oh, but
no one is excellent.
It's official and designation.
Yeah.
So that's the way it goes. But, you know, Kadinvest 6.0, and when COVID came, all the challenges, everyone was hit, and so many things suffered as a result, but you kept on with Kadinvest 6.0. What was the mindset upon you insisting on continuing with this?
Well, Kadinvest, has been very successful for us in Kaduna State in attracting investments. And we thought that even during the pandemic, we could do Kadinvest 5.0 virtually. We couldn't assemble people as much. We couldn't get people to come here physically. Only a few people were in this hall. But we still went ahead because we want to keep Kaduna and Nigeria in the minds of investors, even under the situation of the pandemic. And we went ahead and did it, and you can see from the data that we'll present today that in spite of the pandemic, we're able to grow our investments in the last 1 year by about $500 million. I think Kadinvest 5.0, which was done online, helped in enabling that happen. So we don't give up. In life, you always have challenges. It's like a game of cards. You get dealt a bad card sometimes, but you have to confront the situation and as public leaders try to find solutions. So we had to keep on in spite of the challenges, and that's what we did, and it paid off.
Yeah. So looking through, up until 6.0,
yeah,
in terms of your focus, your ultimate goal, yeah, how far or close are you in all of that?
I think we have done quite well, but we have a team of young people and women that really are overachievers, as you can see from the people you interviewed. We are never satisfied with what we've achieved. Many people say we've done very well in many areas. We've quadrupled our internally generated revenue. We've attracted nearly $3 billion in investments. We're not satisfied. Kaduna State accounts for about 5% of Nigeria's population. We should account for 5% of the GDP, but we only account for about 2.5%. So we want to double our GDP. We want to double our portfolio of investments. We want to double the jobs that we're able to create. We are very ambitious, and we are never satisfied. We get positive feedback from our investors, from people of Kaduna, that we are trying, but we think we are far away from our goal.
For you,
we have to keep on.
What would you say has been the greatest challenge in achieving the goal that you have set?
The greatest challenge we have faced is initially cynicism, because people don't trust government anymore. So as politicians, when we said we are going to make Kaduna great again, we are going to create jobs, we are going to bring industry back to Kaduna, we are going to develop our agricultural capacity and move into agro-industry, people say, yeah, we've had this before. After all, PDP lied to us for 16 years. These guys called APC are not any different. But I think if you poll people in Kaduna and ask them, they will tell you that they are beginning to have confidence in government. For the first time, we are having people coming forward and saying, I want to pay my taxes because I can see what you're doing with my money. When we impose presumptive tax on small businesses, 2,000, 5,000 a year, for instance, a lady that produces masa, I don't know if you know masa, decided to pay 100,000. She said, I'm doing very well. The investment climate is excellent. I don't want to pay 5,000. I want to pay 100,000 because I can afford it. So we're getting that positive feedback. So that was the first challenge. This was 2015-20. Cynicism. People just think all politicians, governments just promise and forget their promises and take care of themselves. But I think we are beginning to change that in Kaduna. The second challenge we've had, which emerged from 2017 is the insecurity, the rural banditry, which has expanded and in many ways giving investors something to be scared about. I mean, you're here in Kaduna, you spend the night, and you know that it is not as unsafe as the media puts out. So one of the basic problems we faced is, people perceiving Kaduna to be insecure. And since our competitive advantages in agriculture, it means that most of the activities have to be in rural and semi-urban areas, which are considered unsafe. So we've had to take extraordinary measures to protect our investors from insecurity and invest a lot of money that could have gone into other development in supporting federal security agencies to curb this insecurity. Of course, the third challenge that we face continuously and have to adjust is the impact of federal government economic policies on us as subnationals. We may be doing our best to mitigate that, and I must say we work very collaboratively with the federal government to solve these problems, but sometimes we get disrupted. And I will just give one example. We had Dangote Industries, Aliko Dangote, interested in going into milk production. He was going to bring 30,000 heads of cattle from South Africa, and he wanted us to give him one of our grazing reserves to invest. That would have created, hundreds of thousands of jobs and would have addressed major security as well as economic challenge. But all Aliko wanted was for the price of powder, for the import duty on powdered milk to be moved from 10% to like 20%, just so that it will be competitive with local production while costs are being reduced. We began conversations with Ministry of Finance to do that, and then all of a sudden, in the next budget cycle, import duty on powdered milk was reduced to 5%. So of course he pulled out. So sometimes, you have these policy disconnects that affect us from Abuja, and we have to go and start explaining and try to reverse things. And sometimes, once investors see policy inconsistency, they just walk away. So we've had to face that problem, but things are improving, and I think more and more investors are having confidence in us, in our ability not only to make things easier for them in Kaduna, but also reach out to federal government agencies in Abuja to ease things for them. That we do, I think, pretty well.
But have there been areas of support? Because we see that today the Vice President will be coming to town. He'll be at this investment summit. He'll be commissioning markets today. And I'm sure he'll be speaking of areas in which the federal government can collaborate with the state. So have there been areas where you have felt the federal government support?
No. Don't get me wrong. The federal government has been very supportive of us. Okay, I have led policy inconsistency as one area. That happens because of poor coordination, I think, even within the government. And these things happen in government. One department is doing something and another is doing something else, sometimes at cross purposes. And the purpose, the job of the leadership is to resolve those kind of silo mentalities. The federal government has been very supportive to us. We've collaborated in many areas. I don't think we would have been able to achieve what we've achieved without the support of the federal government. From supporting us in the area of insecurity to providing concessionary funding by the central bank. We're doing a ranch in Damao. Central bank is providing 8 billion out of 10 billion. While our partner ALA is putting 50 million euros to support for our ICT investments, support for our agricultural investments. There is concessionary funding available. We are working with the federal government on power, for instance, because the market that the VP is commissioning Kasuwa Magani today has solar power, and the solar power the solar grid was installed by Rural Electrification Agency, a federal government agency. Again, that has saved us money and so on. So we have many areas of elaboration. In power, we are talking to the federal government to take over Kudenda, 215 megawatts gas-fired plant here in Kaduna, which is nearing completion. We are collaborating again with the federal government in many other areas. And, you know, the government has been very supportive. Let me just stop there because there are so many examples.
I'm just a little, yeah.
We need to go to break, but not to worry. We'll be back and take a lot more.
Hi, Governor of Kaduna State is still here with us in the studios, makeshift studios for Kadinvest 6.0, and we're taking questions. Well, you're talking about the collaborations between yourself and the federal government, and I find it interesting that the vice president who sits over the National Economic Council meeting is the one who's coming to commission that market. You know, the challenges that you say you've had in terms of policies sometimes, do this come up at the neck, and how are you able to reach any resolution whatsoever in terms of some of those difficulties?
They do, and I think our founding fathers in creating the National Economic Council, with the Vice President as chair and all the governors and central bank governor as members, you know, envisage this. You know, we are a federal state, and there would be need for coordination of policies and maintaining consistency in policies from subnationals to the national government. And we discuss many of those, and we resolve them. And the Vice President has, you know, provided excellent leadership that even opposition party governors, you know, commend him for that. But, you know, there are some policy disconnects that do not get escalated to the National Economic Council. And they do happen sometimes because government agencies, unfortunately, prefer to work in silos. They are very territorial. And sometimes the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investments has an objective in their sector, but Ministry of Finance does not know what they are doing, and they come up with something that, you know, conflicts with that policy. And that's why, you know, in the Obasanjo government, which I served as minister, we had an economic management team that looks at this kind of conflicts and proposes solutions to an economic policy coordinating committee chaired by the Vice President then. So if you look at the Obasanjo years, you will see that that was one period of the fastest rates of economic growth in Nigeria's history, because that policy coordination was much better. Because at the level of governors and the Vice President, we can only deal with the issues that are big and have been escalated. You need a technical level team that will look at those policies, debate them, and propose options. Because NEC should only say yes or no, approved, not approved. But I think a lot of that is not happening now, and I think it needs to happen. The Presidential Economic Advisory Council, I think, is supposed to do that before it gets to NEC. And yeah, they do brief us from time to time, but these things still happen. And
so
it's work in progress.
So bringing it back, I'm sure that must be something that you were trying to really guard against in Kaduna. Yeah. And you know, coming up with Kadinvest and looking at the options for investors. What has that coordination been like for you?
Well, you know, in Kaduna, our approach has been to remove silo mentalities as much as possible. What we did was, you know, for instance, for economic and investment matters, KADIPA is the one-stop shop. Every agency knows it has to defer to KADIPA, and when KADIPA says, we need you to do this for an investor, you must do it. If you feel very strongly that a policy or a rule is being broken, it is referred to the deputy governor, who is the chair of KADIPA, and she can escalate it to me, but often she can, you know, override any agency. Secondly, what we did after our first term was to create what we call policy councils. So we have Human Capital Development Council, for instance, where the commissioners of education, health, social development, all issues to do with, you know, human capital development, vulnerable groups, you know, they meet every week to look at various policies and coordinate, and the deputy governor chairs that council. They meet 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. every morning. On Tuesdays, the Economic Policy Council meets, And that's the council that looks at investments, that looks at financial matters, tax matters, revenue generation, and so on, and how to attract investors. And KDP is there, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Budget and Planning, and is chaired by the Senior Advisor Councillor, who is the director, who is the head of Economic Development Council. On Wednesdays, we have Infrastructure Council, chaired by the Chief of Staff. On Thursdays, we have Institutional Development Council that looks at the reforms in the government and ensures that our reforms are consistent and they reinforce one another. So you have the head of service, you have the secretary to the government, you have establishment. We look at the policies of embedding and entrenching some of the reforms we've had in government so that they are sustainable. And on Friday, the Procurement Council meets. The Procurement Council reviews contract proposals and gives the go-ahead. So we never in our Executive Council consider contracts. We do not think that the Executive Council time should be wasted approving contracts. You should get someone else to do that. So in our Executive Council, we only look at policy issues. And these policy councils, they bring up any contentious policy issues to the full Executive Council. But most issues they can deal with. And we found that since we started that, this silo mentality has dissolved, because there is hardly a time when you make a policy in education that does not link to health. Okay? There is hardly a time that you make a policy in health that has no impact on social development or education. So they are interconnected, but they are different ministries, and you must bring them together to keep talking to one another so that they debate and resolve the conflicts. And that has worked very well for us. Many of my colleagues, have come to study what we have done and also implement it in their states.
So still talking about policy coordination, now I'd like to talk about federal states. Now I wonder if that's what's responsible for the focus of the state on Damao Ranch. I mean, investing 10 billion naira when there's the NLTP, the National Livestock Transformation Plan, incidentally, which is also meant to be overseen by the Vice President who's going to be in the state today. So why that, I don't know if it's a shift of focus to Damao Ranch when there's NLTP? What's the thinking in that line?
I am a member of the steering committee of NLTP. There is a steering committee of about 7 governors, including with the Vice President as chair. And we've been talking in NLTP since 2017, 2018, and we think NLTP is too slow. And here in Kaduna, yes. We've been talking, as I said, since 2018, 3 years. Not one ranch has been implemented. Some pilot states have been picked and, and given resources, but we have not seen anyone. Now, here in Kaduna State, the issue of farmer-herdsman clash and the insecurity that it generates, for us, is both an economic and security policy issue. So we didn't think we should wait forever for NLTP's processes, and we decided that, look, we'll go ahead and experiment. We want to show proof of concept. We want to show that you can produce livestock in a modern way without going up and down, without being mobile all over the place. And we believe that if we can do that, if we can settle 1,000 Fulani families and they see that they can produce 20 liters of milk per day instead of 2 from a cow, and their incomes will multiply, they will look prosperous, their children will go to school, they will have a vet clinic, they will have everything. They will be a Fulani person like me. I am Fulani, but I went to school, and today I'm governor of Kaduna State. We think every Fulani family should have the opportunity to have education, to have healthcare, to have, in one place without having to move up and down, being a security problem, being, also an economic problem. So we decided that it is better we do one with our own money. So I went to Denmark and UK and met with ALA, which is among the top 3 dairy giants in the world, and we developed this public-private partnership where we are putting 10 billion, 8 billion is coming from CBN, and 50 million euros from ALA. And we have advanced in doing that. The central bank just approved the 8 billion a couple of weeks ago. We're waiting for the money, but we've already started investing our own part on the infrastructure and so on. And we've started with the hardest associations, and they have agreed, and we've identified the 1,000 families. And we believe that if we can show to the itinerant Fulanis that you can stay in one place, you can have grass, you can have water, you can produce 10 times the milk that your breed of cows now produce, you can be richer, your children can go to school, you know, your children can join the army, they can be governors. We think that's the solution to the problems that these transhumance herdsmen have been causing. And once we are able to do one that works with our own money, we believe that the private sector will even come and do the rest. And we're already talking to a group in the UK. We are back to Aliko to talk to him, to come back and do what he plans. We have 14 grazing reserves. If we're able to do that in more of the grazing reserves, this up and down, this open grazing will be a thing of the past. But I've always argued that, you know, this will take time. I mean, the Damao Ranch will take us 2 years to do. We have about a year to go, and the results will take even a bit longer for the Fulanis to say, oh, you know, I don't have to be moving up and down looking for grass. I can grow grass in one place and don't have to do this. And it will solve an economic problem because it will make them richer, it will make them sedentarized. It will also solve a social problem because you'll have educated people that can embrace religion, because believe me or not, you know, most of the Fulani bandits don't have a religion. They are neither Muslims nor Christians. They are pagans, essentially, you know. And even when they say they are Muslims, they are nominal Muslims because they don't pray, they don't practice any of the rituals of Islam. So we believe that sedentarizing them will give them the opportunity to integrate with society. They will have education, they will have healthcare, they will feel that, you know, they are part and parcel of society and government, and even have, you know, citizenship, because most Fulanis don't know where they belong. They move from one country to another. They don't stay in one place to even establish their country of origin. So we believe that's the long-term solution, but we believe in starting and showing that it works. NLTP is also designed to be largely government-driven with partners. We had to push to say you need partners. You know, it's not sustainable for government to do this. And our own model is private sector driven largely. The government is just de-risking the project by borrowing from the commercial, central bank's window, concessionary window. So we like to take our fate into our own hands. Okay. We like to experiment. If it works, fine. If it doesn't work, we adjust. This is it. And that's the spirit of Damao. But we are looking at other partners for Laduga, as I said, a UK firm is interested in one of our grazing reserves in Gayam, and we are back to Aliko to try to see if he can still come back and do the 30,000 heads of cattle.
If I could just follow up on that in terms of the private sector, the PPPs.
Yes.
What, because I don't think you were satisfied with the level or the capacity of the private sector when you came in.
Yeah.
So did you have a target in terms of, look, I want to grow this sector to this level, the PPPs, and what is that and how far you will achieving that?
Yeah, you know, when we came in, as I said, the major issue was cynicism. People didn't believe whatever we said. But in the last few years, we've done a lot of PPPs, and we hope to do more. And, you know, people, the private sector in Kaduna, even outside, is getting more and more confident that the Kaduna state government is a government that does what it says. If we say we're going to do this, we do it, and they are getting to have more confidence. We are looking at more PPPs, not only in real estate development. Markets Development Company has done extremely well in attracting investors, in which they provide the land and others take the risk of building the markets. and shopping malls. We are doing a lot of PPPs in agribusiness. We are encouraging the investment in processing agricultural products, because we are the largest producer of soya beans, maize, tomatoes, and ginger, and we don't want to be selling these products as raw commodities. We want to encourage the processing of them. We have a ginger processing factory in Kachia that we're looking for investors to buy. We already have 3 companies processing tomatoes in Kaduna. Angote just bought one that we used to own, and there is GB Foods and Tomato Juice. We are commissioning Tomato Juice this week. So we are looking at these PPPs in various areas. The focus for the next few years is in technology. We've seen the potentials of Kaduna ICT Hub, which Zenith Bank kindly built the facility for us, and we had partnerships with Microsoft, HP, and Google, and we've trained many people in coding and software development, and they are in Kaduna or other parts of the country making money, but working from here. So the one area that we're looking at for more PPPs is in the technology sector. We want to make Kaduna we'll say the Sahel Valley of Nigeria. We believe that with the number of tertiary education institutions we have here, if we put the right infrastructure, we are putting optical fiber cables all around, we are upgrading all our cell sites in Kaduna to at least 3G, even in the most rural areas. Within the next 1 year, there will be 3G all over Kaduna. We need that, to tap into the potentials of our young people, as well as, use it for education. We are exploring telehealth with the government of Pakistan, so that people can use their phones to consult a doctor. They don't have to go to the hospital, for instance. So we are looking at all these areas to expand our public-private partnerships. What we have as a government is policy stability, competent people. We have land, and we have infrastructure to enable you get access to land very quickly. You get approvals quickly. I mean, when you come to Kaduna to invest in any sector, your headaches are few, if any.
And you only get, because oftentimes, when people start talking about development and you talk about cynicism, it's a good thing that, the work done by Kadinvest over the years is speaking for itself.
Yes.
There's nobody who has come to Kaduna over the last 6 years that would say, I have not seen changes or development.
Yes.
Now, what I'm trying to, the issue for me now is, how will politics, because we know that it's already right ahead, it's around the corner. Are you sure you will not get distracted by politics?
No. I don't think I will, for 2 reasons. First, I think that we are likely to be succeeded by one of the members of our team. Okay, so there is likely to be continuity. I think the people of Kaduna appreciate all that we've done, and they compare the last 6 years with the previous 16. And I think that they will want continuity, because we've started many things. We have got a few things done, but realistically, we can't finish everything. It's not possible. We'll do what we can, and the only way that this momentum can be sustained, whether it is in Kadipa or developing the agricultural sector or breaking new vistas in ICT or virtual education, telehealth, is for the people of Kaduna State to support the continuation of an APC government with a team significantly the same as the team that we have. And we have a very diverse team. We have young people, as you can see. We have women everywhere, and it is working. And we get our talent from all across Nigeria. Kaduna State is the only state where you will find a Gerald Lukwe as Chief Information Officer. He's from Anambra State, but I've known him since 2000, when he was MD Microsoft Nigeria. And when we started looking at how to expand our our performance in the ICT sector, I called him and I said, look, come and do this. He thought he would come and be a consultant, and I said, no, 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 we want you to come and live here and work here. And you know, I guess out of respect and relationship with me, he came, and you know, he's doing excellently. But you know, I mean, the governor of Anambra ought to have done this, not me. But we look for talent everywhere, and we bring them together and they work. And if the people of Kaduna State re-elect APC, we are likely to have one of the members of our team succeeding me and continue in that direction.
I imagine members of your team right now thinking, will it be me? Will it be me? To succeed the governor?
We have a large team, and you know, and we have many very bright people that have done great things in the state, and you know, we are going to sit collectively and decide, you know, and if we're able to agree, oh, this is the best guy or girl to succeed me, we will all line up behind that person. So,
regardless of whether or not they're in the party?
No. You have to register in the party. You have to be a member of the party to contest elections.
So are all your aides and commissioners and what have you?
They're all party members.
They're all party members.
All of them.
Automatically?
All of them are party members. We just had local government elections. We just had congresses. All our commissioners, permanent secretaries went back to their areas and worked. Those that are not originally from Kaduna State, like Jimmy adopted Sanga as his local government. Local government, you know. I don't know which
Did they adopt him?
They did. He went to Sanga for the campaigns. He even met with the Yoruba community there, spoke to them in Yoruba, did Dobale and asked for their votes, and we won. So, you know, every person that works in Kaduna State government is a party member, and he adopts a local government if he's not originally from here. And they're all part of it. You know, I keep making this point. You know, politics trumps everything. If you don't participate in the political process, you are depriving the country and society of your talent. The best people should be in politics. The best people should be in public service. So we encourage them to be part of the process. You don't have to contest elections. You don't have to, you know, be in anything, but be at the table when the decisions are being taken. That is how to improve the quality of people in politics and public service. And I think everyone in the top and middle level echelons of Kaduna State government understand that.
You know, part of when you mentioned a lot of things, Kaduna has land, agriculture, and the people, but Kaduna also has a huge population of young people who will drive this knowledge-based economy in 5-10 years to come. I just want to understand your thinking for young people. I mean, you've referenced your cabinet, but on a larger scale in the state, what's the thinking for young people? How are you recruiting them? What are you arming them with for the future?
The most important tool you will give any young person is education. And we have been very, very aggressive in investing in public education because we believe that primary and secondary education should be free to everyone, to every child. And we've been implementing this policy in the last few years. Primary and secondary education in Kaduna State is free, 12 years, not 9 years of basic education, but 12 years. And the other 3 years includes technical and vocational education. And one of the things that we've done too is to try to improve the quality of public education. We want to make private schools a luxury. You only take your child to private school if you can afford it, or you know, for one reason or another. But we want to improve the quality of public education to the levels that we enjoy. Because I went to public schools. I never went to any private school until I went for my master's outside Nigeria. So this is what we want, and we've been working across the board since the last 6 years to do that. We budget at least 25% of our total budget for investment in education. We've been improving teacher quality. We've sacked 22,000 teachers, employed 25,000 new ones in primary schools. We recently employed about, in the last 6 years, we've employed more than 10,000 additional teachers in our secondary schools, particularly science subjects, mathematics, ICT, and English. We have been expanding our schools. We have been putting more hostels. We are making senior secondary schools all boarding, so that young people from all parts of the state and parts of the country bond and understand each other. Because day schools do not provide enough opportunity for young people to understand each other and understand other religions, ethnic groups, and so on. And Kaduna State is a diverse state. We have nearly 60 different ethnic groups. So we have to bring them together to unite them. We don't want people that go to primary school in their village, secondary school in their village, and university next door to their village. Okay. They grow up to be narrow-minded. So we want to mix young people. We take people from the north to the south, and so on. This is what we enjoyed, and it helped us. So education is one. Good healthcare, universal health coverage, so that people don't die of this, and then skills. If you give people education, skills, and then the opportunities to leverage those skills and earn a living, not just wait to be employed. That's great, but be self-employed.
I guess there's a lot to look forward to for Kadinvest 6.0. But we do thank you. We've been speaking with Mr. He prefers that, Nasir El-Rufai, Governor of Kaduna State.